Michigan plays Washington at home this weekend, where the spread is 5.5 points right now, as Michigan is the favorite. I feel like that's a little interesting, though, because if you look at just both of these teams and just how they have performed so far, I think a big reason why Michigan is a 5.5 point favorite right now is because they're playing at home. And I've talked a lot already about how playing at home, especially teams that have to come from out west to the Midwest or just travel anywhere, it's a very difficult thing to do. Like, it's hard to travel out west, it's hard to come from out west to play football. That's just what it is. And this is going to be a game that is going to be really early on for Washington. It's going to be a game that they're going to have to get up and be ready for. But this is a matchup that if you look at it on paper, you might feel actually a little bit better if you're a Washington fan than a Michigan fan at this point. Because if you look at statistically, if you look at just the overall offense versus the overall defense, what both of these teams have done, defensively, both of these teams are about the same wavelength. I think Michigan's 35. I believe Washington is 36. If you look at offensively right now going into this game, I feel like if you're a Washington fan, you feel a little bit better about what they've done so far comparatively to what Michigan has done. And I feel like there's a few key factors in that. One of the biggest key factors is going to be quarterback play. You obviously have Bryce Underwood, a guy that has been showing flashes, a guy that has had good moments. You have wide receivers starting to step up for him. You're starting to get a little bit better of a performance there. Versus Demond Williams Jr. If you have to say, as of right now, which quarterback is playing better, you have to say easily Demond is playing much better. He has 10 touchdowns on the year, 74% completion rate, 1 interception, and he also has the capability of using his legs. Now, Bryce Underwood has shown that, but Demond isn't afraid to use his legs, and I think he's going to use his legs a little bit more than what Bryce Underwood is going to use his legs in this game. This Washington offense, when it comes to just playmakers, when it comes to throwing the ball, they not only can have a little bit of a mix match when it comes to running the ball, they've been effective running the ball, but they can also throw the ball. And I feel like that is really going to be the biggest key of this game for both offenses is which team can effectively throw the ball, which team can effectively run the ball. And I feel like Michigan, if you don't have Justice Haynes in this game, that's going to be a real big detriment to a possibility of winning this game. Now, there could very much be a likelihood that he does play. That would be huge for Michigan. You've seen what this run game can do against teams when they have Justice Haynes versus when they do not have Justice Haynes. Now, I do think USC has a really pretty solid run-stopping defense. I think Washington, you can say the same exact thing. We saw what Jordan Marshall did against them. Obviously, wasn't as effective. They weren't able to get the big play through the ground. They've had Bryce Underwood throw the ball to make those plays. And obviously, on the road, to do that with a freshman quarterback, really difficult to do. He did make some plays. They did have some big plays. A big play touchdown to Andrew Marsh. That's what has happened. Now, this team is getting better, and I think there's a little bit of a frustration when it comes to Michigan offensively because ever since Sharon Moore has come back and has been the head coach, it seemed like this Michigan's offense hasn't been as efficient or as effective as it was under Biff Poggi. I feel like you're getting a lot of attention kind of drawn to that. Now, do I think the defenses that they have played is better than, like, let's say a Central Michigan? Yeah, absolutely. Like, this Washington defense is a good defense. This Washington defense is going to be one that travels. It's not going to be an easy game, even though it is in Michigan Stadium. It's not going to be very fun, but it's going to be a game that I truly believe, even though I'm saying all of this, that Michigan does find a way to win. Because this is a game that if you truly want to have the season that, in my opinion, would be considered okay if you're a Michigan fan, you have to win this game. Because there's a real possibility of if you lose this game, next week you go at Michigan State, then obviously you have Ohio State later on in the year. you're going to be probably at least 8-4 at that point, which would that start the dialogue of what's going to happen to Sharon Moore? You're starting to see that dialogue. And if I'm Sharon Moore going into this game, I don't want to say this is a must-win game for him, but it's going to be a huge game, not only for confidence, because this is a Washington team that's a pretty decent team. Like, this Washington team is 5-1 for a reason. They can score, they can play defense. You're at home. You have the home atmosphere. You're going to have a packed Michigan Stadium. Like, this is the reason why you play at Michigan, is to win these types of games. You need to defend home field. You need to defend the big house. You need to come in with a better offensive approach, a better offensive game plan, and just look more efficient. And I feel like Washington's going to be able to maybe cause Michigan some issues offensively and defensively as well. I think Washington's going to be able to score. You've seen teams be able to score on this Michigan defense a little bit more than they have in the past. So you're really going to need to have guys like Andrew Marsh. You're going to have guys like Donovan McCulley. You're going to have guys like Bryce Underwood. You're going to have this offensive line be better to keep yourself in the game. You cannot let Washington get going offensively. And I feel like this Washington team, with Demond Williams Jr. at the helm, will be able to put up some points on Michigan, and that's because they have some guys like Denzel Boston. He's been great. He's been the leading wide receiver for Washington this year. 6 touchdowns, 444 yards. You have Desmond Rubrook, 331 yards. You have Jonah Coleman as well. Those are kind of the 3 guys you're really going to have to watch for in this game. And not only them, but you obviously have to talk about Jonah Coleman running the ball as well. He's a leading rusher on this team. He can do it running the ball. He can also do it catching the ball outside the backfield. Like, he's a guy that can be multifaceted, just like Demond Williams Jr. He can do both. He can run the ball. He can throw the ball. Like, that's just an issue when it comes to going up against a type of offense and a type of quarterback that this Washington team is. But I think Michigan overall does actually end up winning this game. I think they just do enough offensively. I think maybe they look a little bit better offensively, especially after the game against USC. I think they're going to learn from their mistakes, and I think the defense will do just enough to win this game as well. I believe I did predict Michigan to win this game, but even if Michigan doesn't win this game, I can see exactly why it happens. There's a real possibility that Washington can go into the big house, get a win, but it's really difficult to do that on the road, especially from out west. We've seen a team do that in Michigan from out west last week. There's a real possibility that they could do it this week as well. It wouldn't necessarily surprise me, but I'm going to end up picking Michigan in this one because I think Michigan truly needs this win. I think Sharon Moore realizes that. I think they're going to maybe take off the training wheels a little bit more for Bryce Underwood than I think that Biff Poggi was doing. I feel like Sharon Moore has kind of put them back on a little bit. And if he wants to not be in a conversation, not saying he should get fired, not saying he will be fired, but if he wants to not be even in that conversation, he needs to win this game, in my opinion. But let me know in the comments, do you agree, disagree? If you do, like I said, let me know. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, comment, all that kind of stuff. Really appreciate everyone's support. Make sure to tune in to the recap after the game takes place on Saturday. I'll talk about what happened, why Michigan either won or lost, all that kind of stuff. But appreciate everyone tuning in, and make sure to tune in to the recap after Saturday.